Welcome to Fox 55's Green and Gold Gridiron.
The Packers showed they could win the close ones too, 24-21 over the Minnesota Vikings, combined with the Detroit Lions loss, and the Packers are on top in the NFC North. Thanks for watching. I'm Brian Groff alongside former Packers and Badgers offensive lineman Bill Ferrario.
Excited to be here, Brian. That was a great game. It was exciting to watch. It's nice to see them on top, and it feels good to know the Packers are on top right now.
Jana Wimmer and Keith Rordink will join us in just a bit. We're used to the blowout wins, but this one obviously was not a blowout. Aaron Rodgers, 209 yards passing. They hold him to just 2 passing plays over 20 yards, but it was Eddie Lacy who really carried the load.
It was. You know, it's nice seeing those the big, high-scoring games, the exciting games, but it's also nice to know we could win with the run when we need to, and this was a game that we got to see Eddie Lacy show his stuff, but ultimately, if it wasn't for that old line up front, opening those holes, we know Lacy wouldn't be getting those yards. But it was nice to see him. He ran hard, he ran well, and that's the complete offense that we're looking for from the Packers.
You didn't just mention offensive line because that's who we have for a guest tonight.
I didn't. I mentioned it because it always starts and ends with the old line.
Now, Lacy, we can talk about the blocking, we can talk about the offensive line, but 3:23 to go. Minnesota scores. They make it a 3-point game. All of a sudden, the Packers really need a couple first downs, and that's what Lacy did to really salt this win away.
It is, and I joke about the offensive line, but that's where I think you really test your offense, your line, and your back when you have to keep getting those first downs. When the coach is calling a running play, you know you can't throw for the first down. I think it makes that offensive line and that running back stand up, and they did. They came out successful.
What does it say about a team when they can win the close ones like this?
I think it says a lot. It says a lot about the team, their integrity, and hopefully gives us some hope moving forward into looking at the end of the season into the playoffs.
Eddie Lacy wasn't feeling so well. He didn't talk with the media after the game, but other guys did talk about him, the center of attention. Let's send it over to Jana Wimmer with more on his performance.
Yeah, you guys have been talking about Eddie Lacy. He's put up over 100 yards on the ground twice this year, both times against the Vikings. We take a closer look in this week's Breaking the Huddle. As Aaron Rodgers said, a big test this Sunday, and I know we'll talk more about the Patriots later. Guys?
Yeah, definitely. The New England Patriots playing as good as any team, and we're looking forward to seeing that game and talking about that. That we will do. We will have Jana Wimmer, Keith Rordink, much more with Bill Ferrario, and our special guest this evening, a former first-round pick for the Green Bay Packers, played 11 seasons in Green Bay, 12 overall in the NFL. He also lives and works right here in our viewing area. Stick around. We will meet him after the break. Welcome back to Fox 55's Green and Gold Gridiron. We are at Scotty's in Schofield, and it is my pleasure to introduce the man to my left, as always, Keith Rordink from PackerReport.com.
Hey, always great to be here, Brian, especially after a win. And I think the way they won that game is perfect going into the Patriot week. No reason to be overconfident. A lot of things went right, but certainly plenty to work on.
If we were on a teeter-totter, Keith and I would lose. If you look at the two guys on the other side over here, our special guest this evening played 11 seasons for the Green Bay Packers, a first-round pick in 1982, 12 seasons overall in the NFL, played 162 games for the Green Bay Packers, lives and works at Ron Hallstrom Sports and Marine, the man himself. Ron Hallstrom, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, and you've been through a lot of these battles, Packers, Vikings. Take us inside the rivalry and what it means to get a win.
Well, it's a great win to go over there and win. Anytime you go to a away game and win and bring a victory home, it's a plus. Whether I know we were used to those big scores, but anytime you win and bring one home on a away game, it's a great win.
They moved into the Metrodome your rookie year. Was it interesting to see them play outside again in Minnesota?
Well, I played there 11 years, and I was glad to see it go away. It was probably one of the worst places, other than maybe Philadelphia, to play in.
Would you agree with that, Bill, with the Metrodome?
I do. And I think Ron would probably attest to just the Metrodome being old, number one, and I think the noise. That's one of the places, one of the few places where I ever heard noise go from loud to true deafening. So it wasn't a fun place to play. I don't know if they did it back when you were playing, Ron, but pumping in the speakers behind the benches and pumping in extra noise and stuff like that. So
they had to do whatever they had to do to
exactly get that
playing
edge.
the Packers. Half the fans there were from Wisconsin, so the field wasn't a very good field to play on. They played baseball there, they played football there, and it was supposed to be a dome that was ahead of its time, but it really wasn't. So
With the way the Packers are playing right now, how do you look at them at this point in the season? Big game coming up next week. Are they the team to beat, do you think, in that conference?
Oh, definitely. I would have to say that. They're on a roll right now. You want to be on a roll towards the end of the season. You look at the teams in the NFC that are fading right now, and that's the last thing you want. And a lot of that's determined by injuries and things like that happen. But Green Bay they're on all cylinders. The running game has been phenomenal, and it's getting better and better with every week. Rodgers is Rodgers. He's gonna throw the ball. He's gonna make some phenomenal throws and great catches. But they're on a roll and they're playing well right now, and that's what you want going into December and in November.
And Ron, it's been 25 years since that 1989 Magic and the Miracle season. I think when I think back to your playing career, and certainly when you played, you went through some down seasons, but that was maybe one of the highlights. What do you think about when you look back on that year?
Well, anytime you beat a team like that, it's great. I like what's happened with the game now from that standpoint. I don't like where it's gone as far as from the penalty part of it, where it's really taken away. You're going to have a lot more scoring. You're going to have a lot of phenomenal players, great players that played many years ago that are going to get a lot of the stuff in the record books washed away because of the extra games and because of what they've done with the defensive secondary and the defense.
Mm-hmm. You've definitely seen a lot of changes in the NFL, and especially in Green Bay, playing for 4 different head coaches. I don't know if I've ever done a show with someone who played for 4 different head coaches for Green Bay. Bart Starr to Forrest Gregg to Lindy Infante to Mike Holmgren. You saw the gamut, I guess, I don't know for lack of a better word, but talk about the changes that you saw, what it was like as you went through and a coaching staff comes in, they want to make some changes, and you continued to stay and play throughout.
I was very fortunate. I always tell people that was my Super Bowl, to survive 4 head coaches. But the reality of it was, at the time, I think Green Bay was living on the laurels of the 60s and 70s, the Lombardi era, and they really needed to get away from that. And you could see the teams in the league, San Francisco, the Bengals, the Cowboys, back in that era, we're going into a new millennium of playing. And we needed to get the right coaching and the right office people in there. And by the time Holmgren got there and Ron Wolf got there, it happened.
Ron, so you also went through a span of quarterbacks as well through that time period. You started with Lynn Dickey, correct? All the way to you were there when Brett Favre came in as well.
Yeah, Brett Favre. When people want to know how long it's been since I played, my last year in Green Bay was Brett Favre's first year, so it's been a while. But just hundreds of them. Randy Wright, former Badger coach. Yep. Randy played. Yep. And then for a few years there, we were getting all the washed-up quarterbacks from around the league. So we struggled, but we still put a good game out there and played hard and did what Packer players do. They just give it all their effort.
You had experience playing on Thanksgiving Day. What were your thoughts on doing that? It's obviously the quick, short turnaround. You have to go on the road. Detroit always gets that built-in home game.
That seemed to be always the true Thursday night game before they had the Thursday night games. I think for 6 or 7 years in a row, we played on Thursday. That was kind of the rivalry back then, was to see Detroit and Green Bay playing on Thanksgiving. And it was just another game. The negative side of it, you played quite right away, and the plus side was that you got a good rest afterwards. So you just took it as another football game.
And you played in that Thanksgiving Day game where Walter Stanley had the punt return for the touchdown at the end, right? That was a big game.
Yeah, it was a great game. That was in the old. What was Detroit's
Silverdome.
Yeah, the old Silverdome. Yeah, that was another noisy place to play. But there was nothing better than that. Especially on a national televised game, to see something like that happen.
I mentioned in the introduction that you have made your home in northern Wisconsin. You're up here in our viewing area. You're up there in Woodruff. Tell us about what led you up there and what do you do nowadays?
Well, I'd retired from football and was living actually in Illinois. That's where I'm from originally. And was looking for something to do, something to get into. Just started a family and wanted to kind of. I actually used to do PR stuff for Skidoo when they were stationed out of Wausau, and I kind of played on those lines and ended up buying a recreational products business in Woodruff and been there. This will be 20 years this June. So it's been great. My kids love it. It's a beautiful place, like the whole state. It's woods and water, and it's a great place to live.
Is this a busy time of year for you?
This is my hunting time of year, but we've had snow, so now it's getting busy. And one thing I need to mention is, you said I live at work. I used to live at work. I don't live at work anymore.
You
so
don't
I do.
live it. And I said Minocqua. It's in Woodruff. So we got that. That's getting to know Ron Hallstrom. Let's turn it over to our topics. And I know the first one, Bill just can't wait. We're going to talk offensive line.
Yeah, we have a couple of O-line guys here tonight, so we're going to start with the offensive line. It's been an area where the Packers have seen a lot of consistency this year. All 5 starters have played together all season. Guys, what does that sort of consistency do for the Packers offense?
I think that's huge. I think consistency amongst an offensive lineman, when you have 5 guys playing on that O-line, you need consistency. You need the same guys going out there week in and week out, practicing together, playing together. It just helps mold that offensive line together. The running back knows what's going to happen. The offensive lineman, it goes from during training camp when you have like Lindsley as a rookie, when you're stressing the calls, to later on in the season when you have veterans and guys that have played a long time together. You don't even have to talk sometimes. Sometimes it's a look, it's a point. You don't have to go through the verbiage that you may have to when you have new guys constantly rotating in.
Yeah, I mean, it's when we played, when you know the reactions of the guys next to you, it just makes it much more easier. The quarterback gets involved, the players, everyone on the line gets involved. When you become one unit together, and you can see that happen in Green Bay now. And you can look in the past when they had trouble on the offensive line. That's where, it became tough for Rodgers. But this year they've stuck together, they played well together, and you can see that those guys are all working with each other.
I'm so impressed with what Corey Lindsley is doing as a rookie. I mean, he's not a guy that's going to get voted to the Pro Bowl, but I feel like he's playing at that level as a rookie. And then, of course, you have Sitton, who really should make the Pro Bowl, and you've got Lang on the other side. So I feel like the interior of that offensive line is really one of the best in the league. I think it shows up with the protection that Rodgers is getting, and I think it shows up with what we're seeing from Eddie Lacy, especially this past Sunday.
And full disclosure, Keith played O-line in high school.
Clearly.
Topic 2, Jana.
The Packers face the Patriots on Sunday, and right now both teams are playing like Super Bowl contenders. Guys, would you say this is the NFL regular season game of the year?
Ron?
Well, I think they're both playing. They're both firing on all cylinders right now. I think this game this weekend is going to be a shootout. I think that it's going to come down to who has the ball with the last minute, and that's what it's probably what it'll end up being. That's where you want both teams to be. We want to be playing a little bit better when it comes the end of December, but it's going to be a great game to watch and great game for the fans, and just hopefully no one gets hurt.
I also agree with that. I think it is going to be a battle of 2 of the best teams in the NFL right now. I think we are starting to peak at the right time, which is at the end of the season. My hope for this game is that it's not going to be a shootout. I hope our defense can slow down their offense, because my fear is if it does get to be a shootout, I don't know if we're going to be able to. One, our offense is going to really have to perform, and I don't know if our defense will be able to stop them when needed at the end of the game. So hopefully we can come in there, slow them down early, and not get into that back and forth shootout of quarterbacks throwing touchdown passes.
And absolutely, it's 2 of the game's probably best quarterbacks. I mean, premier quarterbacks, but really I think the 2 best quarterbacks playing right now, Aaron Rodgers, obviously MVP caliber year. Tom Brady's still at the top of his game. I don't know that any quarterback does more with less. Brady makes chicken salad out of chicken excrement, kids, chicken excrement. So, but absolutely, so we're going to see those guys. We're going to see those guys going at it. And Tom Brady isn't going to miss open receivers and overthrow guys like Teddy Bridgewater did. So absolutely, the defense is going to get tested.
It'll be a good one. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and we'll have topics 3 and 4.
Welcome back to Green and Gold Gridiron. We are at Scotty's in Schofield. We have former Packers offensive lineman Ron Hallstrom here with us tonight. We've gone through topics 1 and 2, and it's time for 3 and 4. The talk of the weekend was the one-handed touchdown grab by Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham. Guys, was that the greatest catch you've ever seen? And if not, what was?
Not the greatest catch I've ever seen. It was great, and I saw it, and I think you see it, and you're like, wow, what a catch. But when everybody immediately is like, greatest catch in NFL history, I'm just one of those, I'm going to be like, no, slow down. As you go back and start looking for greatest catches, it's definitely up there. But, I mean, for me, the David Tyree catch against the helmet in the Super Bowl, I feel like that's probably the best catch I've ever seen. And I would even say the Santonio Holmes catch in the Super Bowl against the Cardinals, leaning out of bounds, I'd probably put both of those up there ahead of the Beckham catch. As great as it was, I mean, behind his back, 3 fingers right there, it's pretty incredible.
I also agree with Keith here. I think the catch was absolutely amazing. It was athletic. I think my difference that doesn't make it the greatest catch ever was the stage that it was on. Like you said about the Tyree catch in the Super Bowl, that's in the Super Bowl. It was a crucial moment of the game where the Giants aren't doing too well. They're playing the Cowboys, regular season game. I think if that was in the Super Bowl, I think that changes everything. But because of the stage, I'm not going to go with greatest ever.
For sure.
I just want to check and see what he's got on the gloves.
Little extra stick 'em on those gloves there.
I watched that and went, wow, that was it. But you're right, it was a great catch, great athletic move. But again, when you talk about catches in the Super Bowl, I'll take a great catch in a Super Bowl over a great catch in the season. Because it means so much more, and the players understand that the intensity is so much higher when you're in the Super Bowl. But not to take away from it, it was a great catch.
Yeah, I think of some of the catches Lynn Swann made. I think social media blows some of this stuff up as well, because then it feels like more people are talking about it. But yeah, the stage, I think you have to have a higher stage. Let's go with topic 4.
And for topic number 4, we get a little help from our wonderful audience members, and we have Kurt Keene who has a question for you guys.
Hey guys, last week there was some breakdowns in the secondary with Bridgewater as the Vikings quarterback. What are the Packers going to need to do to stop Brady and Gronkowski?
I think Gronkowski is going to be a challenge. I think it's going to be interesting to see what our defense does against Gronkowski. I think for Brady, we have to get after the quarterback, whether it's Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews, whether it's bringing guys on a blitz. We have to disrupt Brady. Brady, similar to Aaron Rodgers this year with the Packers, has a good offensive line in front of him that protects him and gives him time to find that open receiver, and that's where I think Tom Brady's deadly. I think we need to it all starts with putting pressure on Brady. If the pressure's not there, he's going to find the open receiver and get the ball to him. If pressure's there, we have a chance at disrupting that offense.
I agree with that, but the big thing in this game is Capers has got to come up with a plan, because Brady gets rid of that ball quick. We're vulnerable against the tight end. That's his go-to guy. He's had a phenomenal season. The guy has just been on fire. It'll be interesting to see what Capers does, because if we do blitz, you know what happens then. Brady's going to get rid of that ball quick. So, like I say, it could end up just being a shootout.
We saw a limping Kyle Rudolph at Minnesota get ahead of A.J. Hawk. So I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, that's an area this defense has struggled with. So to your point, Ron, I mean, Capers is going to have to scheme something, bringing an extra safety down. They have to find something where they're not getting exposed in the middle of the field, and Gronkowski is the premier tight end. So, I mean, they're going to be looking to exploit that.
That does it for our Titletown topics. We will take a break. When we come back, we'll have Bill's breakdown as well as our Fox 55 pick'ems. Time now for Bill's breakdown, and we're going to take a look at the Rodgers to Rodgers connection. Tie game, 7-7 mid-second quarter. Packers right there on the goal line. How did Richard Rodgers get so wide open, Bill?
Well, it was obviously great pass blocking by the offensive line. No, all kidding aside, he came off there running a nice route. There's a nice pick that happens. But what I love about it is Aaron Rodgers literally waits the last second, ends up getting hit by 2 guys to wait for the last second to have that ball thrown. He's wide open. I mean, if that was me in the end zone, 1, I think my heart would have been pounding out of my chest with nerves that I might drop the ball with nobody even near me.
You would have.
2, I think I wouldn't have dropped the ball, okay? I would be nervous. I did run 1 pass route for the Packers, but I'd probably be doing jumping jacks, trying to get his attention other than that little wave that Rodgers gave back to Rodgers.
And he was thinking catch it because it felt like the ball was up there forever.
I'm sure it was coming in slow motion in his eyes.
You watch that and watch the path of the ball. 39.4 yards through the air. I don't know how much further you can throw for a 1-yard touchdown. That was phenomenal.
That was impressive.
I'm just glad you guys didn't go into the archives, because there is a play when I played tight end where I was wide open and fell down.
Oh, really?
So
And that was,
that's good.
Ron, what year was that?
That was 100 years ago.
Next time.
I've seen Bills play. We had that on NFL Films. All right, that does it for our Bills breakdown. Time for our pick'ems.
And it's pretty tight at the top of the standings. You have some work to do, Bill, but everyone else is like within one game of each other.
Well, I
so.
didn't find out until like
Yeah,
week 6.
you
We
thought
didn't
there
have
was a
spread with
spread,
us, so
and yeah, okay.
I think somebody was perfect 2 weeks in a row.
I know,
Who
good
was it?
job.
Thank you.
Our first game, we have Chicago at Detroit on Thanksgiving. I'm going with Detroit at home.
I'm going to go at home as well, the Detroit Lions.
I'll go Detroit.
I got Stafford and Cutler playing exactly the same right now.
Detroit.
Our second game is another Thanksgiving game. This one is 3:30 and is right here on Fox 55, and it is Philadelphia at Dallas. Going with the Cowboys.
Playing for the NFC East lead. I'm going home team again.
Man, the Cowboys look good. I got to go Cowboys.
Yeah, taking the home.
I'm going with the Birds.
Just trying to make up some ground.
Pennsylvania guy down there.
Next up, we have Panthers at Minnesota. Minnesota at home this week.
And yes, we do have to pick this game.
I know.
I'll go home team. Sorry, Minnesota natives.
The Panthers are horrible.
I got Teddy Bridgewater coming on.
See?
I will go. Vikings, but I'm not going to put it right on.
Can we just take a moment and we had Vikings across the board just so
He
everybody
did hold it
knows.
upside down.
I know. He probably did that on purpose. And last but not least, we, of course, have the Patriots at the Packers.
This is the one game I think we picked all year where we really had to think about it, but I'm going Packers.
Okay, here's the deal. I know my kids are going to give me a hard time. What does Green Bay struggle with? They struggle with top-tier quarterbacks, strong running games, and athletic tight ends. What are they going to see? I hope I'm wrong. I know. I heard the
why we
first
have an
booze. Thank
audience.
you. Yes.
Here we go. 4 for the Green Bay Packers. Ron
Keith, it was
Hallstrom.
awesome having you on the show. Wish you the best in the future.
There's a job posting.
wait,
You may see it. There's an opening here. Ron Hallstrom, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Enjoyed
I appreciate it. For all of us here on the crew, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you for watching Fox 55's Green and Gold Gridiron.